What's up, everybody? Tyler Adolfo here. Thank you for tuning in, whether you are here while we are live or you are watching the VOD later on. I appreciate each and every one of you being here. All right, let me just make sure. Okay, it's working. I got my phone pulled up here just so that I know you guys can see the stream. The title is Snowpocalypse Live Coffee, Snow, and Conversation. Got some water too. Can never go wrong with drinking water. Had a job interview the other day. I was offered the position. Considering the position, I still have more interviews to do, but the snowstorm is making things a bit convoluted. I have to wait out the snowstorm and wait for the sidewalks to be walkable again so that I could get to my next set of interviews. The job offer that I got is minimum wage, but that's okay. I've been out of the workforce for a bit and I just need money. I need any amount of money, really. And any amount that I make, I'll be grateful for. And it will allow me to save towards my goals, allow me to build up a savings again as I prepare to return to school. I mentioned that I'm considering doing a college class. That's still the case. The registration for summer courses begins early March. I want to say March 3rd. Could be mistaken, but somewhere around that time frame. I want to do an online class during the summer session just to prepare me, get me in the routine of things ahead of a full-time course load in the fall. In the fall, I'm aiming to do just 12 credits because I don't want to overwhelm myself. I want to make sure that I have balance in my life. So I ain't going to overdo things. I'm going to make sure that I have, as I said, balance. I think that balance is very important. It's applicable to almost every area of life. I think it's especially true with mental health and mental health management. I'm going to pull up some videos we could react to. No shortage of those. And as people join in, I'll pause them and just chat. Or if you want to continue watching them, we could do that as well. But no shortage of things. I'm excited to do a summer course. I really want to get back into doing schoolwork again, which is probably one of my idiosyncrasies. Not a lot of people look forward to going back to school. Not a lot of people look forward to getting back in the classroom, whether it's virtual or in person. But I do want that. I'm passionate about learning. I want to get the most bang for my buck. College is extremely expensive. And I want to make sure that I'm taking full advantage of the opportunities that have been laid out before me. I want to make sure that I'm preparing myself for this fall semester that's coming up. And what better way to do that than taking a summer course or two? I do get a contact financial aid to see if I'll be able to use student loans for summer courses. I'm not sure how that works. I don't see why I wouldn't be able to, but I mean, I use it for fall semester and spring semester, so surely I'll be able to use student loans for a summer session too. I don't see why that would be problematic. Anybody tuning in? We're just hanging out, riding out the snowstorm here. Where I am, we got about 10 to 16 inches. I don't know exactly how many, but it's still going. And according to the weather app, it will be going on for a few more hours. So I'm not quite out of the woods yet. That's all right. I did go outside earlier to try to do some steps. I've done about 4,500 steps inside. I did maybe like 1,500 steps outside. And I stopped doing steps outside after I slipped like 20 times over the course of those 1,500 steps. And I did have a fall as well. I landed right on my left hand, left wrist. So it's not good to catch a fall with your wrist. I'm grateful that didn't do any serious damage here. Definitely don't want to break one of my hands or break one of my wrists ahead of getting ready for school. That would be very unfortunate. I think so, anyhow. I'm trying to see what should we react to. I published a bunch of shorts lately. Do have a large library of videos to choose from. Let me go to my earliest and see what we could find. It's going to take a while to get there because I want to react to this one first. This is a video that I had posted and I ended up privating it and then unprivating it. So let me pull this up. This is when I had a full-on beard looking like a Roman general. So I'm going to react to one of my videos called Video Games Saved My Life More Than Once. It's 13 minutes and 30 seconds. Thought this might be an interesting video to react to get the stream going. Until we get some chatters in here. If you want to chat about anything, then by all means, let's put it in the comment section. I am going to prioritize comments over the videos that I'm reacting to. So I will pause more frequently than I typically do, depending on how much traffic we get in the comments, really. But I got it pulled up. So let me go to screen share. I'm going to give this a few moments to show up on your end. I have my phone here to try and make sure. It's probably a black screen right now. That's what it's showing on my phone. And once it shows up on my phone, I can start the video. How you all doing today? Looks like we got 3 people in here. Well, one of those is actually my phone, but it looks like we got 2 people in here, 3 counting me. So, and it looks like it's now showing. Quite a bit of more comments than I expected it would. I wasn't sure how relatable this would be to my audience. If anyone here plays video games, what video games do you play? Or if you used to play, what video game did you play? Curious to hear what you have to say here. I'll share mine in a little bit. Short description for this one. In this video, I talk about the positive impact video games had on my life during periods of deep depression. So I'm going to maximize the screen here. Let me check for comments real quick. Social Cloud says, I really miss Assassin's Creed. And I was on Game Pass, and there's so many Assassin's Creeds. Do you have a favorite one? I played the first one, enjoyed it, and I never played any of the other ones, though. And I think a large part of that is just the fact that, I did get Red Ring of Death way back in the day. It took forever before I got another gaming system. And when I did get back into gaming, I was primarily on like Call of Duty. Assassin's Creed 3, the one in Colonial America. Okay, that sounds interesting. Yeah, don't they have like a pirate themed one? What's that one that came out recently too? I had a bunch of my Call of Duty friends grinding it. Kind of got like mixed reviews, but it's a very successful series. They've had so many titles. Call of Duty is cool, but ever played Battlefield? Yeah, I've played Battlefield here and there. There was one that I played. It was one of the smaller scale ones back in the day. I played it with my Call of Duty friends, and we played it just to take a break from Call of Duty, but then we went back to Call of Duty. I don't mind Battlefield, but I prefer Call of Duty. The new one in Asia. Oh, for Assassin's Creed, yeah. Isn't it called like Shadows or something like that? Let me see. What's the new Assassin's Creed game? Yeah, Assassin's Creed Shadows. That came out March 20th of last year. They also got it on Nintendo Switch too. That's cool. Kenny, oh hey Kenny, I like that short video that you took down on how we shouldn't look to the stars for our destinies, but to our own choices. I liked it. Yeah, uh, I mean, I'm always ambivalent about the videos that I post, and it's weird because like this video that I'm about to react to is one that I had also had taken down at one point, and I just get mixed feelings and attitudes about whether or not a video should stay up sometimes. And I still have that video on my channel. I could unprivate it, and I probably will at a future period. But I don't know. I kind of have mixed feelings on the message I was actually trying to drive home in that. But I'm glad it resonated with you. I based it off a William Jennings Bryan quote, which is destiny is not a matter of chance, it is a matter of choice. And the reason I have mixed feelings on this, well, number one, the guy who said it ran for president multiple times and lost every single time. So, I proposed the question. Did he choose to lose those elections? Is he acknowledging that it was his choice to lose, that he could have worked harder, that he could have been more diligent and committed towards winning over voters, or he wants to deal with that? And then the second component of why I have mixed feelings on it is I don't think people who are born in North Korea, for instance, have much free will. They don't have the degree of choice in their destinies in the way that people in the Western world do, people in the rest of the world do. So that's kind of why I backed away from that video. I feel like it could have been a little more controversial in some ways. But I think for the most part, it's kind of true. Depends on, which area of the world you're looking at. And Kenny says, that being said, you were born in the year of the ox in Chinese astrology. Okay. What does that mean? I don't know what that means, but I have been to Chinese restaurants before, if that's what you're talking about, where they have like those sheets in front of you before they bring your meal out, and it shows all the different like animals and which one you are based on what year you were born. So, what does the sign of the ox mean? Chinese. See if I could get an abridged version here. The ox represents hard work, diligence. Okay, that's very interesting. I literally just said a minute ago, I used the words hard work and diligence in describing or trying to get an explanation as to why William Jennings Bryan didn't win his elections. Was it because he didn't work hard enough? Is it because he didn't choose to be more diligent? I literally just used those words. That's funny. But says in full, represents hard work, diligence, dependability, strength, symbolizing a grounded, stable, and methodical approach to life. It embodies patience, honesty, and endurance, often linked to prosperity through persistent effort. Okay, that's pretty interesting too. One of my favorite quote is one by former President Calvin Coolidge, and it's nothing in this world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. I love that quote. I got it from my friend Connor when I was starting my junior year of high school, AP English Language and Composition, heavy writing intensive course. We did lots of debates, learned a lot about rhetoric. And the students from the past year wrote letters providing advice and tips on how to do well in the class. And I got a letter from a student named Connor, who happened to be one of my friends as well. And he had that quote in his letter. And to this day, that quote has really stuck with me. And through my trials of life, I've been adhering to it. All right. So I'm going to play the first few minutes of this, and then I'll check to see if we have any more comments in here. Video games saved my life more than once. Let me pop out the dashboard real quick. Oh, wow. We've already had 6 different people in here. That's pretty cool. Welcome, everybody. Whether you're here for 30 seconds or 10 minutes or longer or shorter, I appreciate you being here. talking about anything and everything. I am snowed in, so I have nowhere to go. All right. And my screen is sharing. Perfect. Depression has been the story of my life. Without question, I've needed to develop coping mechanisms over my 27 years of life in order to mitigate the effects of severe depressive episodes. One of the coping mechanisms that I developed, the most powerful coping mechanism that I've developed, is arguably playing video games. I know this may sound crazy and absurd to some, and I suspect that this video will probably be perceived somewhat differently on a generational level. I'm not saying necessarily that all people in a certain generation are going to agree and all people in a different generation are going to disagree with what I have to say in this video. But I do think there's probably going to be a little bit of a trend, and I won't say exactly what that is, but why don't we get right into it? I'm going to discuss and highlight moments from my life where I was severely depressed. I'm going to talk about why I was depressed and talk about the role impact that video games played in mitigating the severity of my depression and alleviating the varying degrees of stress that I experienced throughout these multiple depressive episodes. Now, there's a lot of data and research on the positives of video games, and there's also studies on the negatives. Really, in life, almost anything can become an addiction. Almost anything can become a negative behavior that we engage in on a repeated, unhealthy basis. It can become an obsession. I'm not arguing that people should play video games 16 hours a day. What I am going to argue is that balance in almost everything is a good thing, and especially in video games. Finding balance is key. So I want to draw your attention to a time period of my life when I was severely bullied. When I was in middle school, I was bullied relentlessly. It really made me feel worthless. It made me feel like I didn't have a purpose in this world. And from a very early age, I started to develop negative thought patterns and engage in negative self talk, which would ultimately lead to suicide as well. Fortunately, at the middle school level, I didn't act on those suicidal ideations, suicidal thoughts, but they were there. They existed, and I had to deal with them. Video games at the time were my way of escaping from the noise and chaos of the world around me. I didn't have a fantastic upbringing. I was raised by a single parent, and she did a phenomenal job, but my dad left when I was two, and that always didn't sit well with me. It hit me really hard, and it was tough to try to grasp and learn as I grew older why that happened and feeling like it was my fault in many circumstances. And of course, that's not true. It's antithetical to the truth to suggest that it was my fault that my father left. But that's just the way I felt. It wasn't a very rational line of thinking. And I think a major reason why I wasn't experiencing the most rational lines of thinking is the fact that I was being severely bullied. There's a study that was done by the University of Oxford showing that time spent playing video games is strongly associated with overall well-being. And what I find interesting about that is that this was the epitome of my case and my circumstance when I was being bullied. I would come home from school and I would turn on my Xbox and play games like Star Wars Battlefront or Freedom Fighters. Later on, I would get into video games like Call of Duty. I was also heavily into the Dynasty Warrior series by Koei. Still am very much into the Dynasty Warrior series. I've currently been grinding Dynasty Warriors Origins, which came out in early 2025, and they just came out with a DLC package where you could play as 4 additional factions, which is really cool. So I've been playing and grinding that game currently. When I say grinding, I'm not saying I'm playing a lot. I really don't play video games a lot right now as of late. Like Call of Duty, for instance, which is one of my favorite titles. I haven't played since like January 10th ish, spend some time. And I do have these prolonged periods of time where I'll go without playing video games at all. I seem to always take breaks from Call of Duty where it will be like a month or months at a time where I don't play, and then I get back into it and I'll play like hours a day for weeks, and then I'll take another couple months break. At Corporation, I still enjoy a lot of those games to this day. I play Call of Duty on a regular basis, but it was my escape from the world around me. And I didn't have many friends at the time. I probably had one or two friends at most. And so there wasn't really anybody that I felt comfortable going to in order to express my dissatisfaction with my daily life, my dissatisfaction with the fact that I was being severely bullied in school. And as I'm sure you're all aware, school administrators, they notice these things and they don't particularly do anything about it. This is like, and I'm speaking, I know some might say, oh, you're speaking generally, I'm a teacher and I start, oh, look at, by and large, this is like a widespread problem where I feel like authorities neglect to take proactive action in stopping kids from getting bullied and enacting severe enough punishments to ensure that people don't continue to engage in that negative behavior. For me, coming home and we got another comment here. Kenny says, I see the difference in your weight loss in the compare and contrast comparing the two videos. Are you talking about like from the live stream, like right now to this particular video? Yeah, when was this filmed? Let me see. Oh, this is from August 8th, 2025. So I was probably in like the 340 range in this. And the last time I weighed myself, I was at 299. So yeah, I was pretty bigger by quite a bit in this video. The facial hair also doesn't help either. It kind of makes my face a little bit more augmented, but thank you. Appreciate that, Kenny. Playing Call of Duty, like I said, it was an escape. It allowed me to escape from that noisy, chaotic world where I was being bullied. And for a few hours, I could relax. And since it was something that I was incredibly good at, and I'm still incredibly good at, it always feels good to be good at something and passionate about it. And I played FPS, first person shooter games from a very young age. And I think that's partly why I was so naturally good at Call of Duty. It's because I had played games like 007 and, like I said, Star Wars Battlefront, different games. And any game that involves shooting, I pretty much played. And I played like the Medal of Honor series. And it allowed me to become a very skilled player. I was into Halo very heavily. Social interaction is paramount to being healthy. And I say that as an introvert, mind you. Psychologist James Van Fleet says that sense of belonging and peer approval are some of the basic human desires that everyone has. And when I came home and played video games with my own community, my friends on Call of Duty, it gave me that sense of belonging that I didn't feel in my real life, that I didn't feel at school. And it gave me a reason to keep persisting. It gave me something to look forward to. It gave me a sense of purpose. It gave me a sense of peer approval because the people I played with, some of them dealt with similar problems. And I just want to say right now that these online friends I've had, which some people might consider not to be real friends, look at, they know more about me than anyone I've ever met in real life. That's insane to me. And some of these people I still play with. If it wasn't for my friends that I've made through video games, I'd honestly say that I don't have any friends right now. There's not anybody in real life that I, can go hang out with or who would be willing to hang out. So a large part of my social interaction derives from speaking with family over the phone or putting on a headset and talking to my friends that I've made through video games. To this day, I've been playing with them for over 17 years. So this notion that gaming friendships can't be true friendships, I would say is an absolutely absurd assertion. A friendship shouldn't be based on the medium through which you organize the relationship. It should be based on the quality of the relationship and what each of you offer one another. It shouldn't be, you could have dozens of relationships in real life, but if they're parasitic and they're one way streets where one person benefits at another's expense, are those really relationships that are worth having? And I would eventually develop friendships with people in real life as well. And I think that gaming actually gave me social skills that I was lacking in real life. So, in addition to being a coping mechanism for the severe depression that I was feeling as a result of being bullied, in addition to being an escape, it also bolstered my social skills because I would be in with others and I could then go to school the next day and try to incorporate different interactions that I had and expressions that I witnessed and to eventually make friends. Another time period in my life where video games, I would argue, saved my life was in the aftermath of my major bipolar manic episode. I had a 6 month long manic episode during my junior year of university. At this time in my life, I wasn't really playing video games. I was too busy experiencing a wide array of delusions and hallucinations. And the eclectic range of severe symptoms I experienced presented serious, drastic consequences on my well being and the circumstances of my life. I ended up having to leave university. I ended up losing my job. I ended up losing a lot of my social relationships. And in the aftermath of my mania, as medication started to kick in, as I started to regain my insight and discernment and realized that the things I was saying weren't true and that the things I was doing were wrong, I started to experience a great deal of fear, shame, embarrassment, doubt, uncertainty. I felt like a part of me had died. I felt like my life as I knew it was over. When I first got out of my manic episode, I started playing Dragon Age Inquisition, and I became deeply entrenched into that video game. And for a long time, it was the only thing I was doing outside of isolating in my room. I still remember being partially manic when I actually started getting into Dragon Age. It's a series that I hadn't played in the past. And so it was an amusing experience. It felt very real, and the game really came to life to me because of the fact that early on into me grinding that game, I was still kind of manic, partially manic, and going to doctor's appointments. And the story that was presented was one that profoundly interested me and kept my attention, and it gave me something to look forward to. At this moment in time, that's all I needed was some sense of purpose from anywhere, somewhere. Does it truly matter where you derive your sense of purpose? Having a sense of purpose is crucial to well being. It's paramount to living a healthy life and having a healthy mindset and perspective. And I attribute a lot of my recovery process to the time spent playing video games because once again, video games served as an ephemeral escape from the realities of my world. And those realities were nightmares. They were dark. They were, I can't believe you said this during Mania. I can't believe you did that during Mania. I can't believe you got kicked out of school. This is a line of thinking that I still go through from time to time. I think I'll always be shocked to an extent about what transpired during my mania and the consequences that came about as a result of my mania, just because it was such a traumatizing experience and it's not something I'll ever be able to truly live down or move on from entirely. But it is something I've got better dealing with over time. I don't experience racing thoughts anywhere near as much as I used to when I first came out of the mania. So I've made some progress that is worth noting. I just think it's also notable that, in my view, I don't think I'll ever fully move on from what happened. Can't believe you lost your job. But when I was playing video games, I wasn't engulfed in that negative self talk because I was focused on the story in front of me. So, in this video, my hope is not to encourage people to think that playing video games only is going to change your life, or playing video games exclusively will somehow drastically transform the circumstances of your life. I don't think that's true. But I do think it is an effective, proven, at least from my own lived experiences, I would argue it's proven as a coping mechanism to mitigate the effects of depression, to help provide sense of purpose, to encourage social interaction. And again, why does it matter where we derive our social interaction? The medium through which we experience it. Social interaction is social interaction. And we can get into all these specifics about how, one person might have a preference for this or one might have a preference for that. But when you don't have it within your power or capability to get social interaction from a particular realm, whether it be IRL or through a video game, it's crucial that you get it from somewhere or anywhere. It's better to have some social interaction than none at all. And again, I'm this as an introvert. So video games have saved my life on multiple occasions because I was suicidal when I was being bullied. I was suicidal in the aftermath of my manic episode for quite a prolonged period of time. Video games offered me an escape. They offered me the chance to have social interaction and feel like I'm not alone in this world and feel like I'm not worthless, because it gave me a story and a sense of purpose, something to look forward to, something to engage in. At times when I was experiencing anhedonia, which is loss of interest in things that previously you were passionate about, the inability to experience pleasure would probably be a better definition of anhedonia. But what I'm saying isn't really wrong. It's just could be more concise. Video games kind of were always there for me to get myself self entangled into and just pass the hours by. And that's all I needed, because I've said in previous videos how time has been the greatest healer for myself. And video games really help me to not rush the recovery process, but to take it gradually, one step at a time. So I hope this made me chuckle a little bit. The thumbnail of the video that just popped up. But yeah, that's this video. The last 15 seconds, just me asking to like the video and subscribe if you liked it, that sort of thing. So let me see. If there is a particular video on my channel that anyone would like me to react to, then feel free to share. If you have any thoughts on the video I just reacted to, feel free to share. If there's anything on your mind, feel free to share. But regardless, enjoy having anybody here. Thank you for tuning in. Let's see, should I do my first YouTube video? These two videos here, I was absent 75 times and still got straight A's. That's a recap. It's a summary of my junior year of high school. And then this one, how I gained 110 pounds in one school year, is a summary of my senior year of high school. Those are pretty interesting. Altogether, I summarized my entire final 2 years of high school in about 30 minutes. I've thought about doing videos talking about like my 9th and 10th grade years, but I just never got around to doing them. And what's interesting is whenever I do have a video pick up steam, like I'm talking like one of my long forms gets like 1,000+ views, which hasn't happened in a while, but when it does happen, these two videos of viewers from the newest long forms will then trickle in and watch these. So I'm guessing like they come to my page and they'll filter by oldest, and then they'll look at these options, and these tend to be the two that they'll click on. You know, I'll react to Save the Post Office public speaking class final speech. The context of this was COVID lockdowns were going on. I was speaking course, and we had to do our finals speech to a video camera because, well, we were home on lockdown and we couldn't be in a crowd or have an audience because of the risks presented by the virus. So
I love how much I can bundle in.
let me mute this. We don't need to watch an advertisement or hear an advertisement rather. All right. This has exactly 444 views. It doesn't have any comments. There's a YouTube short of this that got a comment on it, but yeah, no comments on this one. Interesting. Maybe it will become more time relevant later on. Got a comment here. Kenny says, you know how you said that some people didn't feel sympathy for when you acted strange manic? Most people are not evolved enough to show sympathy when someone is suffering. Yeah, so for the first part, that definitely did happen. There were people who, in fact, started to distance themselves from me because of the symptoms I had while manic. They didn't want anything to do with me anymore. They felt like I was a lost cause. And I get it to an extent. I mean, you're a bunch of 20-year-old somethings for the most part. This is who I'm referring to. And they're not mental health experts. They're not psychologists. They're not nurse practitioners, or they don't have that medical experience to know what to do in that situation. But it was very hurtful that people that were close friends of mine, or so I thought, distanced themselves from me like that. And yeah, I haven't. I'll have to research on the second point, Kenny, but I believe you. That wouldn't surprise me at all. Most people are not evolved enough to show sympathy when someone is suffering. Yeah, I feel like we see a lot of that in the world, not just as it pertains to mental health either, but it's an unfortunate reality, isn't it? 7 minutes and 52 seconds. I thought it was going to be a bit shorter, but I used some interesting references in this to like stuff going on at the time. I'm curious to see what I say. Republican leadership, Democrat leadership, and the United States Postal Service. One of these things has an approval rating of 91%. The other two are less popular than cockroaches, traffic jams, and toenail fungus. With the world on lockdown in response to the deadly and rampant coronavirus, millions of people are relying on mail carriers to obtain their medications and other vital goods. However, the only mail carrier with the logistical infrastructure necessary to execute efficient mail delivery to every address in the country is about to become insolvent. Allowing the Postal Service to collapse during a historically unprecedented global pandemic would be a massive failure of action that could potentially disenfranchise millions of vulnerable Americans with an election right around the corner. In the coming weeks and months, an avalanche of arguments will be made against the Postal Service and against saving it. I am going to respond to these arguments directly and tell you exactly what we can do to avert this catastrophe. Critics will contend that the post office is in its current financial dilemma because of its own poor fiscal management. Why should we save them? But this leaves out some crucial context. George Orwell once wrote, "The most powerful form of lie is omission." When proponents of privatization tell you a story, I want you to remember these facts. First, the Postal Service is financially autonomous and constitutionally ordained. By definition, it cannot be a waste of taxpayer dollars because it is not funded by the federal government. Its funds are raised entirely through the services it provides. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 7 of the U.S. Constitution grants Congress the power to establish post offices and postal roads. And this was not some arbitrary decision. It was for good reason, because unlike UPS or FedEx, the Postal Service adheres to a concept known as the Universal Service Obligation. What this means is that they provide equitable and affordable delivery service to everyone in the country. What this means is that whether you're way out west in Joe Exotic, Oklahoma, or relaxing on the Sunbelt in Tom Brady, Tampa, you both pay the same exact price to mail that letter. And yet some elected officials are saying that the post office should be run like a business. We always hear this saying, run it like a business.
And although it's true that we could privatize the Postal Service and run it like a business, that doesn't mean we should. Yes, we could run it like a business and cut the starting hourly rate of pay from $18 down to minimum wage at a time when wages for most Americans have been stagnant for decades. But hey, we'd sure save a lot of money, am I right? We could run it like a business and never allow any of the 600,000 postal employees to reach 40 hours in a work week. Because woe is us if we have to provide them health insurance. And by not allowing them to reach those 40 hours, we don't have to. The point here is that running things like a business isn't always a good thing. And the real reason for the post office's current financial straits actually predated the outbreak of coronavirus, and in fact can be traced back to a law passed by Congress in 2006. See, once upon 14 years ago, Congress instituted a requirement that the Postal Service, and the Postal Service alone, fund its retirement health benefits for all of its employees for the next 70 years. The cumulative effect of instituting this unreasonable requirement that no business in the country is expected to follow, or could be expected to follow, has been $130 billion in unfunded employee benefits. So when the advocates of privatization tell you a story about poor fiscal management or being irresponsible, I want you to remember the facts. The fact is that 2006 law laid the groundwork for the rapid downfall of its financial solvency. The fact is the Postal Service is playing an incredibly important role in efforts to diminish the destructive effects of coronavirus on society. We don't have to allow this to happen. We can save the Postal Office, and we must, for those of us who are vulnerable. The reality is that millions of people may need to cast a mail-in ballot this November. The reality is that 4 million prescription drugs are being delivered through the mail every single day. And 100,000 employees who work at the Postal Service are actually our veterans, who I thought we were supposed to care about. You know, politicians routinely express adulation for our nation's veterans. And now, if I may be so bold, I would say they have a chance to go beyond that rhetoric and prove their commitment. And when numbers are brought up and concerns about our financial ability to do this, here's the reality. Saving the Postal Service isn't even an economic issue. The cost of saving the post office is mere pennies compared to the trillions of dollars that have been spent to give artificial boost to the stock market. If we can dish out trillions of dollars to boost stocks and give out hundreds of billions more in tax breaks and corporate slush money without once asking the question, how are we going to pay for that? Woe is us, how are we going to pay for that? Then surely we can afford a $35 billion bailout of a government public service agency that is extremely popular. And it would only cost $35 billion. And for context, that $35 billion to hashtag save the post office represents less than 2% of the $1.8 trillion coronavirus relief package that was passed by Congress. We can save the post office. I want to reiterate this again and again. From here all the way to the other side of the country, from the Atlantic to the Pacific, because we can save the post office. We don't have to allow this to happen. The choice is in our hands. The fate of the post office is not predetermined. So please, I beg you, write a letter to your congresswoman or congressman stating why you support saving the postal office. Please do so. It's not, as William Jennings Bryan said, destiny is a matter of choice. Let's ensure that the future of the post office is a bright one.
It's funny, I bring up that William Jennings Bryan quote yet again. You can tell I've been using that quote for a while. I really do like that quote. So maybe I should put that short back up, Kenny. of the destiny is not a matter of chance, but a matter of choice. Given how frequently I've used it and how long I've used that quote. All right. Yeah, I liked this assignment. It was part of a finals project. I enjoy public speaking, and you could tell I put a lot into this. I was very passionate about it. Used body language. I distinguished and brought up counter arguments that would be brought up by opponents of what I was saying, and I addressed them. I brought forth my own arguments. I used a lot of rhetorical strategies in it. I used anaphora, contrast. There's so many different things, and I got a 100 on that assignment. So, and I passed the class with an A. We're definitely not reacting to this one, the Oregon Trail skit. Cringe warning. It is super cringe. I don't even know why I still have that on my channel, but it's there for some reason. Maybe how I got kicked out of journalism class. You could watch next. If anybody has a particular recommendation, if there's one that they'd want to see, by all means. This is a video. So I uploaded it March 3rd, 2022, but it was filmed at some point in 2021 when I was still in a manic state. And this was actually filmed inside of my frat house. It was inside of the smoke room. And so let's see what I have to say in this minute clip. It's called Frat Guy Gives Morning Pep Talk. One person comments, why did I watch this? That's interesting. I don't know. Why are we watching this? Let's find out.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Brother Pope. Just want to make sure, tell you all, have a very good day. Don't fuck up. As you know, we could do it as pledges. We can also do it as brothers. And as brothers, we make sure that when we do, we tell each other, because that's what true brothers do. But yeah, don't do nothing dumb. It's a school day. Have a good time. Do good on your academics, your work. Don't be one of those bozos who put something fraternity above other things. Because if you do, you're a clown. And yeah, that's it. I didn't really have a script.
Okay. Yeah, at the beginning, I refer to myself as Brother Pope. That was a nickname that my fraternity brothers gave me because of how passionate I was about public speaking, and they found my speeches inspirational and motivating, so they called me Brother Pope, which, while manic, I made use of that title quite frequently. That was a short one, but I thought it was interesting to take a look at for those who might not have seen it. What else do we got? I feel like this one could be interesting. Weed rant, cringe wording. It's a compilation of clips. Weed rant. This is the timeline of what I talk about, or rather what you see. So we got the weed rant, first time using helium, shopping channel rant, Campfire Chronicles, the Illuminati, winning first place at Decamass Conference, and then get a new deck of cards. This is a 5-minute, 13-second video. We got another comment here. Lisa says, hi, thanks for sharing your experiences. My son has also been diagnosed with bipolar, so I find your content informative. Thanks. Yeah, at least thank you. I appreciate That absolutely. That's my goal with the content, is to spread as much awareness as possible and help people feel less alone in their battles, whether it be family members who have relatives with the condition or people suffering from the condition themselves. So it means a lot to me that you can find that the information is informative. That does mean a lot to me. And I'm sorry to hear that your son was diagnosed with a condition, but please know that you can still do amazing things even with this condition. The average person I know with bipolar, I'd say, is probably significantly smarter than people from the general population. But I mean, I don't have any facts to substantiate that, but just from an anecdotal perspective, I feel like that's the case. So he said, thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. I appreciate you sharing that. Thank you.
You think it's funny? It's not. Millions of people suffer from marijuana addiction. It's bad. Last year, 10 million people died from marijuana. You understand that? Capiche? Is what I'm saying getting through to you? It's not funny, okay? It just grinds my gears, man! You don't understand! It's... You think it's funny? Did you pay attention in health class? You know, not to brag or be braggadocious, but I had like an 83 in there, bro. Get at me. What?
Go, 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 go.
Liam's life was a testament to the American dream. He lived in a beautiful, spacious home, had a family that loved him dearly. So why would he kill himself? It makes absolutely no sense.
The Consolidated Brokers, a boys insurance company, is lying, and they owe him the policy. It was a contractual agreement. Wrong. Everything Hillary says is wrong. That is an absolutely absurd assertion. This really isn't working anymore. That's it, folks.
Wasn't interested in ordering the 39 turtlenecks and 16 wedding dresses. I told them that I had found better deals on Amazon. I thought this traumatizing experience was over. I thought that I had just given this receptionist a massive L. I was wrong. For the first time in our conversation, she was now polite. She asked me to wait while she spoke to her manager. So I promised to wait, but I didn't. I hung it up. I hung my phone shut, slammed it shut, threw it against my bathroom mirror because I'm just thug life like that. Sure, I didn't get my 16 wedding dresses, which I needed for my downtown karate class. I also did not get my 39 necks of turtles, which are the most adorable animals ever. However, I did stand up for myself. I held my ground, and not just metaphorically, but literally, because while this experience
All throughout history, there have been people behind the curtains who secretly, conspicuously orchestrating the events, managing the governments. They've controlled all the celebrities. And nobody knows this because of the television programming. Now listen to that very carefully. Television programming. It is mind control. It is about programming your mind. It is about indoctrinating you to put you in a state of apathy so you don't hear the cacophony and all the ordeals going on around you. It blinds you. It nullifies your words. Now I'm going to tell you the story of a man named Bob. Bob the Illuminati. And he wanted to expose it with all that he had. He had the fire in his heart. And he wanted to expose to the world and illuminate it. Oh, the irony. Ha. Ha ha.
This is finance. Your top winners are in fifth place from Hampton Road, Thomas Stanton. In fourth place from Boston Latin, United Gonzalez. In third place from Bridgewater Area, Diana Cross. In second place from Western Michigan, Neil Miller. And in first place from Marvel, Tyler Adolfo.
The Hello, everyone. This is Tyler Michael DeFreitas Cleveland, Adolfo III here. Thank you very much for joining me today. Now, I hear people say to me all the time, and I'm sure many of you have as well, that you gotta make do with the cards you've been dealt. But what if we've been dealt a bad hand? What then? Should we give up on our dreams because we've been given a bad hand? You know, some of us aren't born with a silver spoon in our mouth, but that's not a reason to give in. Should never give in. Some people are born with only a small loan of $1 million. You know, sometimes you gotta get a new deck of cards. Never give up. With passion, positivity, and persistence, you can achieve anything.
Everyone, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of you being here. Whether you joined in live at some point or you're watching the VOD, the replay of this, I appreciate each and every one of you. It means the world to me. I'm going to keep this stream short. A few other things I want to do. I want to read some more today and kind of want to watch some YouTube as well. So I'm going to go do that. But thank you, everybody. Love, light, and tranquility to all.